Hey everyone, Lisa Salvatore here with your weekly intuitive astrology and energy forecast for Sunday, May 22nd through Sunday, May 29th. So today we start the week off. The moon is in conjunction to Saturn earlier, so you might have woken up feeling more groggy, more tired, and like you might have needed a little extra sleep. Hopefully you got some. But as the moon moves throughout the day, it's going to shift into dreamy and intuitive Pisces, and it will square off with Mercury, and Mercury is going to shift back into the sign of Taurus. Mercury is very much still retrograde at this point. So there is an energy of thinking things over, revising, going back and retracing our steps to make sure that we're on the right track right now. It's definitely a day of reevaluating where we are at. And Mars is harmonizing with powerful Pluto, so this could be something that is shown to us to uncover a blind spot that we have had within and of ourselves. So it has the potential to be a very cleansing and cathartic day by the time we get up until Monday. Monday the 23rd, to start the week off, the moon is still in Pisces. The sun in Gemini is now harmonizing nicely with Jupiter in Pisces. So those two energies are speaking with each other, and we can definitely feel an increase in our physical vitality and our physical energy this week, as both Gemini and Aries give with them a buzz. They bring with them a buzz and a flurry of energy. Where Gemini is more of a mental energy, Aries is much more of a physical energy. So these two together obviously give us both. Mercury is lining up nicely with Mars, and Mars is lining up nicely with Pluto. So Monday overall does have the potential to be a chill sort of day, but yet there's still some intensity of emotion and energy around us. Then we get to Tuesday, the 24th, and the momentum is definitely going to be increasing. You're likely going to feel this physically and probably emotionally as well. Venus starts the day off lining up nicely with Saturn. The moon is lining up nicely with Neptune and also harmonizing with Pluto. And the moon is going to line up with Mars. And so again, there's this strong energy of emotion that is present. The moon will line up with Mars for one last hurrah while Mars is in Pisces, and then Mars is going to shift into Aries. This is a big deal. Mars is absolutely at the height of his power when in the sign of Aries, the warrior. Mars is in his domicile when he's in the sign of Aries, and he is super active, super bold, super brazen. Confidence rises. We are ready to go, okay? There's gusto with this energy. There's a lot of force and drive and willpower that can kick in. Now, this can be a really good thing if you've had lack of motivation these past couple of weeks as we've been inundated with Pisces energy. However, it could also give you too much energy. Maybe you're too brazen, too courageous, too confident, and you can overstep or miss a step. So we want to watch out for that. And, you know, Aries energy, Mars in Aries, is hot. It's fiery. And that has two sides to it, right? We don't want to get scorched under the fire, under the flames. So right after the moon enters Aries, Mars enters Aries. And then the moon in Aries lines up with Jupiter. So this is a big energy. So yeah, as Tuesday goes on throughout the week, we are going to be feeling this. Also on the 24th, goddess asteroid Vesta moves into the sign of Pisces until July. Now, Vesta is the goddess of creation. She is the goddess of healing. She is the home and the hearth. She is the eternal flame. She is what we burn for and what we fight for. Another emphasis on what we fight for, what's important to us. But the Vesta energy is entirely different than the Mars and Aries energy because Vesta is in Pisces now. She's moving into Pisces. And there's something about human altruism that comes in and takes place. And it's about what do we do for others. So what we are doing for ourselves, but also what are we doing for others? And there's something that's very compassionate about this energy. It's a very altruistic energy, but it's also very indicative about the fire within and what we burn for. What is most sacred to us? There's a very spiritual component to Vesta. She asks us to define what are we spiritually devoted to. She is the goddess of healing, after all. So again, with all of the Aries energy here and then Vesta moving into Pisces, we're going to be called upon to see if our ideals align emotionally, physically, and spiritually. If what we're really fighting for and what we're confident that we want is actually in alignment with who we truly are at the soul level. And if what it is that we want, is it actually hurting others? Really important questions to ponder at this time. There is a lot of energy, like I said, and it is very deep. Now, something that I've been talking about for weeks, and I'm going to mention it again, is to pay attention to your dream space. Symbols are super pronounced right now. Metaphors coming through, tons and tons of them. You know, colors, sounds, music, animals, all coming in through the dream space with very significant and important messages when you tune in and listen, especially if and when they're repetitive, which a lot of times they are. Now, on Wednesday the 25th, The sun is lining up nicely with the moon, and Mercury is going to trine Pluto. Now, Mercury and Pluto are friends. Pluto likes to take us deep to the underworld, to traverse the spaces we don't always want to go to, and to bring something back up. And because it's Mercury, and Mercury's retrograde, Mercury is talking. Mercury is revealing things to us, more than likely through the subconscious, through the unconscious. So in our dream space, we can get light shed on something that needs to be healed or released, okay? So all week long, really, but specifically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there could be something revealed to you that helps to really push you forward. More so on the psychological level. It probably will be very profound for you and very personal, whatever it is. Also very potentially cleansing. But pay attention, because Mercury retrograde is revealing things right now, especially by the way of relationships, okay? Meaning, listen, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm one to always not make a big deal about Mercury retrograde. Obviously, each one is different according to the planetary configurations that surround it. But typically, I'm like, okay, Mercury's my chart ruler. I'm very used to Mercury shenanigans. And so I just kind of roll with it because that's all we can do. But this particular one has been a pain in my butt and really annoying and irritating. But one thing that I find really strong at this time, and it's not just because of the retrograde, of course that adds to it, but it's more about this whole eclipse energy that we're very much still under. Just because the eclipse has passed us, the vibrations of the energy of these eclipses, they stay with us for quite some time because they tell a story. And so the past couple of months have only been like a couple of pages of a chapter of the story. Think about it that way. But one thing that's really pronounced right now is relationships, projects, situations, circumstances, etc., but especially relationships that we may have thought were dead in the water are resurfacing. Something's coming back around. Something's being revealed to us. We're seeing things differently. Somebody says something to us and brings us back, and we're like, whoa, where did that come from? That was, 4 years ago or a year ago, whatever the case may be. But it's really important to do your own soul work to recognize what is worth reopening or what is worth closing the door on. But also to remember to be very aware of your own part in any dynamic and of your own part in the story, whether it's your story or another story. We all have to remember we are going to be the victim in somebody else's story, and we're going to be the villain in somebody else's story. We're also going to be the victim in one of our stories or some of our stories, and we're also going to be the villain. And we need to own that. We need to own up to our own part where we may have acted less than, or where we feel we've been slighted or treated less than, and then we react accordingly. And it's not with malice, and it's not with hate. It's just with the energy of, it is what it is. Let's put this to rest. Let me say what I need to say in confidence, in love, and in light, so that I can move forward. And there's a lot of that going on right now. A lot. So just because something comes back does not mean it's worth reopening the door. In fact, a lot of the times the lesson is to say what needs to be said or do what needs to be done so that you can shut the door and move forward. So there's a really strong energy of that going on right now. And remember, don't sabotage your peace just because chaos is familiar, okay? I want to say that again. Don't sabotage your peace just because chaos is more familiar. Meaning if you have done a lot of work to move beyond a situation in your reality, in your life, and it comes back to you, and you're tempted to go back to it, whatever it is, if it's a person, if it's a job, and you're tempted to go back to it, but you know on a very deep level why you left it in the first place or why it left your life in the first place, and you're more peaceful and better off without it, why would you go back to it, right? So you really have to dig deep here. And again, with the Pluto energy this week and Mercury retrograde and the Mars and Jupiter and Aries, we're going to feel a lot more courageous and confident that we have what it takes to really push ahead and move forward, to be the best that we can truly be. So we must keep sight of that so that we don't go back to familiar places that are no longer, I should say, good for who we are today. Okay, and then we get to Thursday, and the moon is going to line up nicely with Saturn. It's going to conjunct Venus. And it's going to bring us a square to Pluto. So again, something could be revealed within one of our relationships or with our relationships in general, perhaps maybe even our own behavior in relationships that a light could be shed on. And then when we get to Friday the 27th, Venus is going to square Pluto. And then the moon's going to shift into Taurus. And so Thursday into Friday also, this is significant because again, there's just this energy of us seeing our own part in any kind of a storyline where something might not be working out. And again, there's a lot of passion this week. There's a lot of dynamic energy. So people could be a little angry and they may blame you for something. And maybe they don't take ownership or their part of the dynamic into account. And, just try and stay in the space of compassion and constructive energy about moving things forward without having them end in chaos. When we get to Saturday, the 28th, Venus is going to move into her domicile in the sign of Taurus. So now we've got Mars in Aries, where Mars loves to be, and now we have Venus, goddess Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and money. She's now entering her favorite place to be, which is in Taurus. And so Venus goes into Taurus, and it's like breath of fresh air. Venus loves to be in Taurus. She loves things to be very physical. She wants to feel everything. She wants to love. She wants to connect. So this is a nice energy. We're in Gemini season. Gemini's all about connection. So yeah, this might be a really good day to reach out to an old friend that you've been thinking about and you want to talk to, or to rekindle a relationship that could use some sweetness infused in it, because that's what Venus is all about. She's sweet. So this is the day, to start thinking about the luxurious bath bombs that you wanted to buy, or eating that dark chocolate that you've been avoiding. Because when Venus moves into Taurus, we all do feel that shift. It feels nice. And then we get to Sunday, the 29th. The moon is going to start the day off harmonizing with Neptune. It's also going to square Saturn. And then Mars and Jupiter are going to meet up, exact. This is a very auspicious conjunction. This is a really nice alignment. And again, this is all about getting things done and breaking through limitations and seeing things that we may not have seen before as being possible. Now, this can also play out on the world stage. This is also, like I mentioned before, a hot, fiery energy where tempers are flaring and tempers can be pronounced. And so it's really, really, even more than ever, important to mind your own space, mind yourself, mind your thoughts, mind your words, mind your actions, because everyone is feeling this energy. It's supercharged. If you take this personal, take it to the personal and look at something you've been working on that maybe you've lost some steam on, you might find that under this energy, your gusto comes back for it. Apply it there. The moon will also be lining up with Mercury. It's trining Pluto. It's nicely aspecting both Jupiter and Mars, as the moon is going to shift into Gemini, and then it's going to sextile both Jupiter and Mars, which are also very closely linked at this time. And so this is nice. This is good. This could really bring things in for us. There could be even a little dose of magic that's present at this time. And then on Monday, the 30th, which we'll go into in next week's weekly, we have our new moon in Gemini, which is actually quite nice. It's not an eclipse, but remember, we are still feeling the vibrations of the eclipses. But this one is not an eclipse. So anyway, I'll come back and that'll be in next week's report. But that is the week ahead, 22nd to the 29th. Make sure you take good care of yourself, get out and exercise, get some fresh air. It's going to be a lot of energy. You're going to feel it for sure. And I think it's really good. I think it's positive. We're coming out of all this Pisces, and things have felt very muddy and just kind of like blah and tiring. And yes, we're still in the retrograde, but we've got this Mars in Aries, Jupiter in Aries. Things are looking up. Things are looking forward. And another thing to mention, you definitely want to check your own chart to see where Aries falls, because even though you may not have any planets in Aries, we all will still have Aries somewhere in our birth chart. So you want to go and check which house it is sitting on, the cusp of, or which house it rules over, Aries, in your birth chart. On my YouTube, I have a little tutorial. It's very quick on how you can pull up your own chart and you can see where Aries falls in your chart, because that's the area that's getting infused by this Jupiterian energy, by Jupiter's transit through Aries. And you're going to want to know, because there's a boost that could come in for you. Now, for some, it's going to be very, very subtle. And for others, it may be more, pronounced. But either way, you're going to get a little something in the specific area of your chart that Aries governs. So you definitely want to check that out so you can see where this Jupiterian goodness is going to fall for you. Let me get a tarot card for the week ahead. Oh, we've got the Death card. How fitting. So Death is all about old life going away for new life to emerge, and that is absolutely the energy that we are all under right now. The Death card is ruled by Pluto. Pluto is all about taking us to the underworld so we can sweep away what isn't working, face it head on, sweep it away, and move forward with new life in whatever area we need it to be. And so this is rarely, if ever, physical death, but it's all about metaphorical death. We will die to be reborn time and time and time again. And this Mercury retrograde is definitely serving things up for us psychologically, for us to see some of our own patterns, habits, behaviors, how they've influenced us up until this point, how they've gotten us where we are up until this point, and where they may not be working any longer, and what needs to be shifted is becoming glaringly obvious under these times. And so that's what the Death card speaks to. Out with the old and in with the new. At some point, death comes knocking for everybody, right? It is an inevitability of life, okay, in many different forms and facets. So, and again, take really good care of yourself, and I'll be back with next week's weekly. Bye, guys.